If you are over the age of 60, you have lived a life filled with responsibilities, lessons, memories, and love. You have built a foundation that others now stand on, and you've earned the right to live this chapter with wisdom, peace, and joy. But here's something few people talk about. Sometimes it's not just our bodies that need attention. It's our minds, our hearts, and our emotional patterns. As we age, certain emotional traps can quietly sneak in, not because we are doing something wrong, but because life changes. In today's video, we are going to explore 20 emotional traps that seniors often fall into, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Stick with me until the end, because the last one might just transform how you see the rest of your life. Let's dive in. 1. Trap. Believing you are no longer needed. One of the most common emotional traps seniors fall into, and one of the most heartbreaking, is the quiet, creeping belief that you are no longer needed, that your best contributions are behind you, that your presence somehow matters less now than it did before. This feeling doesn't usually hit all at once. It often arrives slowly, in small moments. Maybe your children are grown and busy with their own lives. Maybe the career that once gave you purpose has ended. Maybe the daily demands that once filled your days, raising a family, building a career, running a household, have eased, and you're left wondering, what now? And the dangerous lie that can begin to take root is this: I'm no longer essential, I'm just here. But let me tell you something from the bottom of my heart. You are still profoundly needed, not just because of what you can do, but because of who you are. You see, the world doesn't just need your labor, your productivity, your errands and tasks. It needs your wisdom. It needs your perspective. It needs your steady hand in a world that often feels like it's moving too fast. I once sat with a woman in her 70s who told me through tears, "I just feel invisible, like the world is rushing past me and I'm standing still." And I gently asked her, what if your stillness is exactly what the world needs? What if your experience, your patience, your hard-earned perspective is the antidote to the chaos around you? She sat quietly, thinking, and slowly her tears turned to a smile. Because here's the truth: while the world may celebrate speed, novelty, and noise, what it needs desperately are the people who know how to listen, who know how to love steadily, who understand that not every problem needs a quick fix. Sometimes it just needs someone who cares enough to stay. You are needed in ways you may not even realize. A grandchild who needs your stories to feel rooted, a friend who needs your listening ear more than your advice, a neighbor who needs your smile to brighten their lonely day, a community that needs your voice to remind them of what truly matters. Being needed is not about being busy every moment. It's about being present. It's about being a lighthouse when others feel lost. And let me be very clear: your worth is not measured by how much you produce. It's measured by how deeply you live, love, and connect. You are not done. You are not a has-been. You are not invisible. You are an elder in the truest and most sacred sense of the word, a keeper of wisdom, a holder of hope, a reminder that depth, not speed, is where true richness lives. So if you ever hear that whisper inside you saying, "I'm no longer needed," I want you to answer it with this truth: I am needed simply because I am here. I am needed because I carry light that the world still needs. You are not just filling space, you are filling lives, with presence, patience, and profound love. Never, ever doubt it. 2. Trap. Comparing yourself to a younger version of you. Another emotional trap that quietly steals joy in later life is the habit of comparing yourself to the person you once were. It can sneak up in small, tender moments. Maybe you notice that getting out of bed takes a little more time. Maybe you catch your reflection and wonder when your hair turned silver, or when those lines, those beautiful lines of living, began to appear. Maybe you look back at old photographs, and instead of smiling at the memories, you feel a bittersweet ache for the energy, the body, the face you used to know. And the quiet, unspoken thought rises, I'm not who I used to be. I'm less now. But let me tell you something that could change the way you see yourself. You are not less. You are more. More experienced, more compassionate, more layered with the beauty of a life fully lived. We live in a world that glorifies youth, smooth skin, quick reflexes, endless stamina. But what the world often forgets to honor, and what we must remember, is that aging is a privilege denied to many. Every line on your face is a story you survived. Every gray hair is a testament to wisdom earned through storms weathered and battles fought, sometimes quietly, sometimes loudly, but always bravely. I once spoke with a man in his late 60s who said, "I miss being 30. I was faster. I was sharper. I could work all night and still get up at 6 a.m." I asked him gently, "But were you kinder then? Were you more forgiving? Were you more at peace with yourself?" He thought for a moment and said, "No. I was angrier, harsher. I chased things that didn't matter." And there it was, because the gifts of aging are not about retaining everything you once had. They are about gaining everything you could not have had without the passage of time, perspective on what really matters, grace for yourself and others, depth in relationships, no longer based on performance, but on presence. When you were younger, you were still gathering pieces of yourself. Today, you carry the whole tapestry. And yes, maybe you move a little slower now, but perhaps that slowness has taught you how to savor things you once rushed past. Yes, maybe you can't lift as much weight as you once did, but maybe you are now lifting burdens of the heart you never could have handled back then. Yes, maybe your skin has changed, but your soul has deepened. The goal was never to stay frozen at 25, 35, or even 55. The goal was always to evolve, to unfold, to expand into the fullness of who you were meant to become. Imagine if a tree looked at its gnarled, strong trunk at 80 years old and said, "I miss being a seedling." It would miss the beauty of everything it had grown into, the shade it offers, the birds it shelters, the roots it has planted deep into the earth. You are that tree. You are not meant to be a permanent version of your younger self. You are meant to be exactly who you are today, seasoned, weathered, wiser, and absolutely breathtaking in your authenticity. So next time you look at an old photo and feel a pang of longing, smile instead. Smile because that younger version of you got you here. Smile because you carry all the versions of yourself, child, teenager, young adult, parent, partner, inside of you still. Smile because you have become a mosaic of all the ages you have ever been, and that is something no wrinkle cream or gym membership could ever replicate. Instead of mourning who you were, celebrate who you have become. Instead of chasing a past chapter, cherish the one you're writing now, because your value has never been about your speed, your looks, or your youth. It has always been about your heart, your spirit, your love, and those only grow richer with time. You, my friend, are not a faded version of your past. You are a fuller, deeper, truer version of yourself, and that is worth celebrating every single day. Third trap: isolating yourself. One of the most painful emotional traps many seniors fall into, often without even realizing it, is isolation. At first, it can seem harmless. You decline an invitation because you're tired. You skip the event because it feels like too much trouble. You think, "I'll call them tomorrow," but tomorrow keeps getting pushed further away. Little by little, the world outside grows quieter, and your circle shrinks. Until one day, you wake up and realize it's been days, or weeks, since you had a real conversation. A laugh shared, a hand held. And what's dangerous about isolation is that it doesn't always feel lonely right away. It can masquerade as peace, as safety, but over time, it starts to erode the very things that keep the human spirit alive. Connection, purpose, joy. I once spoke with a man in his early 70s, let's call him Robert. Robert was vibrant, funny, full of life, but after retiring and losing his wife within a few years, he found himself pulling back from the world. He told me, "At first I thought I was just resting. I needed space. But then it got harder to reach out. The longer I stayed alone, the more I started to believe that no one really missed me anyway." That's how isolation lies to you. It convinces you that your absence doesn't matter, that reaching out would be a burden, that you are safer staying tucked away from the world. But the truth is this: you are missed, you are needed, you are remembered, and the longer you isolate, the harder it can feel to break the cycle, but you can break it. Because connection is not just nice to have, it is vital. Studies show that social connection is one of the greatest predictors of longevity, happiness, and health. In fact, being consistently isolated is as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Let that sink in. Your heart, physically and emotionally, was never meant to beat alone. Now, breaking free from isolation doesn't mean you have to fill your calendar with endless activities. It doesn't mean you have to become a social butterfly overnight. It starts small: a weekly call with an old friend, joining a local club, even if it feels awkward at first, volunteering an hour a week at a place that matters to you, saying yes to that neighbor who keeps inviting you to coffee, smiling at a stranger on your morning walk. Connection isn't about the size of your social circle, it's about the quality of your interactions. It's about having someone to laugh with, to listen to share stories with, even if it feels uncomfortable at first, even if the first few steps are wobbly and unsure. Because the beautiful thing is, the world wants to meet you where you are. There are people right now, and people you haven't even met yet, who would be thrilled to know you, to hear your stories, to sit in your company. You do not have to do life alone. I want you to remember this: you are not too old to make new friends. You are not too broken to be loved. You are not too late to build connections that light up your heart. So if you feel yourself slipping into isolation, don't wait for someone to pull you out. Reach out. Take the first brave step. It might just be a simple hello that starts a friendship. A simple, would you like to grab a coffee? That sparks a bond. Because the truth is, we heal in connection. We grow in community. And we are seen, truly seen, when we dare to stay open to others. Your life, your stories, your laughter, they are meant to be shared. You are not a solitary island. You are a vital part of the beautiful, messy, breathtaking tapestry of human life. And someone, somewhere, is waiting to meet someone just like you. 4. Trap. Thinking it's too late for new dreams. One of the most powerful and heartbreaking emotional traps seniors can fall into is believing this simple, dangerous lie: it's too late for me. It's a thought that can feel so convincing. After all, you've already lived decades of life, raised families, built careers, weathered storms. Isn't dreaming something left for the young? Isn't adventure reserved for those with more time ahead than behind? But let me gently, lovingly challenge that idea. It is never too late for new dreams. Dreams don't have an expiration date. They don't come with a deadline. Dreams are as essential to the spirit at 70 as they are at 17. I once met a woman named Eleanor who, at 68, confessed to me that she had always wanted to write a novel. But every time she sat down to start, a cruel voice whispered in her mind, "Who are you kidding? You should have done this years ago. It's too late now." But one day she decided to silence that voice, even if just for a little while. She started writing. A paragraph here, a messy page there. Some days it was just a few sentences. And you know what? At 72 years old, Eleanor self-published her first novel. Not because she was chasing fame or fortune, but because she realized that the act of dreaming, the act of creating, was a gift she could still give herself. She lit up with joy when she held that book in her hands, not because she was young again, but because she was alive, fully, vibrantly alive. That's what dreams do. They remind us that there's still more life to live, still more mountains to climb, stories to tell, gardens to plant, songs to sing, places to explore. And here's something beautiful to remember. The dreams you have now are often richer than the ones you had when you were younger. They are seasoned with wisdom. They are laced with gratitude. They are built on a deeper understanding of what truly matters. Maybe you always wanted to travel to a place you've only seen in books, learn to play an instrument, even if it's just a few chords, Start painting or dancing or baking recipes from around the world. Build a small garden that makes you smile every morning. Record your life story for your grandchildren to hear one day. Whatever that quiet dream is, it's still there for a reason. Dreams are not about proving something to the world. They're about awakening something inside yourself. Something that says, I'm still here. I'm still growing. I'm still becoming. There's a quote I love. Don't die with your music still inside you. And that's exactly the invitation you have today. To live the music that still hums inside your heart. To follow the tug of curiosity, the spark of excitement, the whisper that says, why not? Because you see, the real tragedy isn't failing at a new dream. The real tragedy is never giving yourself the chance to try. It's not too late if you still have breath in your lungs and dreams in your soul. It's not too late if your heart still quickens at the thought of maybe. It's not too late if there's even the smallest flicker of longing inside you. And let me tell you, the world needs your dreams. Not just the achievements that might come from them, but the example you set when you dare to keep reaching. When you show your grandchildren, your neighbors, your friends that life is not over after 60, 70, or 80, that life is still expanding, still blooming, still worth chasing, every beautiful, messy second of it. So today, I want to ask you, what have you always wanted to do but told yourself it was too late? And even more importantly, what small step could you take toward it today? Because the truth is, you don't have to finish the whole race today. You don't have to cross the mountaintop in one giant leap. You just have to take the next small, brave step. It's never too late for wonder. It's never too late for joy. It's never too late for dreams. And it's certainly never too late for you. 5. Trap: holding on to past regrets. Another emotional trap that weighs heavily on so many hearts, especially as we grow older, is the deep, quiet burden of holding on to past regrets. It might be a decision you wish you had made differently, words you wish you had spoken, or wish you had swallowed, relationships you wish you had fought harder for, or perhaps walked away from sooner, opportunities missed, dreams delayed, time wasted. Regret has a way of sitting silently in the corners of our hearts, surfacing in quiet moments. You might find yourself thinking, if only I had... Why didn't I should have. And little by little, without even realizing it, regret can start to color the way you see your present and your future. It can convince you that because of something you did or didn't do, you are somehow disqualified from living fully now. But here's a truth I want you to hold on to with both hands. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are the sum of your growth. Every regret you carry is a sign that you cared, that you were human, learning through trial, error, hope, and heartbreak. It means you lived, you risked, you tried. And yes, sometimes we get it wrong, but that's how wisdom is built, not in the perfection of our choices, but in the lessons we take with us. I once spoke to a man in his early 70s who had been carrying the heavy burden of regret for decades. When he was younger, he had turned down a job offer in a city he had always dreamed of living in, out of fear. He told me, every time I visit that city, I feel a pang in my heart, like I missed my one great chance. I asked him, but if you had taken that job, what might you have missed instead? The wife you met? The children you raised? The friendships you built? And suddenly he sat back in his chair, silent, realizing for the first time that life is not one straight line, it's a tapestry, and every choice, even the ones we regret, threads itself into the whole. There is no way to unravel your past without unraveling everything beautiful that came after. Regret convinces us to look backward with shame. Wisdom invites us to look backward with compassion. When you carry regret, it's easy to become stuck, replaying the same moments over and over again, wishing you could rewrite the story. But the truth is, you can't rewrite yesterday. You can only write today. And today is untouched by regret, unless you bring it with you. Forgiveness is not just something we extend to others. It's a gift we give ourselves. Forgiveness says, I did the best I could with who I was and what I knew at the time. I allow myself to grow beyond my past mistakes. I choose to love myself not in spite of my flaws, but because of them. And here's something even more powerful. Many of the regrets you carry would be forgiven instantly by the people you think you wronged, if only you gave yourself the chance to believe it. People who love you are not holding a scoreboard against you, and neither is life itself. What life asks of you now is not to keep reliving old regrets like a scratched record stuck on repeat. It asks you to learn, to love deeper, to show up fuller, precisely because of what you know now. Imagine how much lighter your heart could feel if you chose, starting today, to say, I honor my past, but I refuse to be imprisoned by it. I use my regrets as stepping stones, not shackles. I move forward, wiser, softer, and stronger. Because holding on to regret doesn't change what happened, but letting go of regret, that changes everything about what happens next. You deserve the freedom of forgiveness. You deserve the peace of release. You deserve a life that isn't weighed down by yesterday. So let yourself be human. Let yourself be imperfect. Let yourself be free. The past is a place of reference, not residence. Today is where your power lives, and it's where your future begins. Sixth trap: fearing change. Another emotional trap that quietly steals joy, especially in later life, is the fear of change. It's so natural, so human. You spend decades building routines, habits, relationships, identities. You find comfort in the familiar, the way your mornings start, the people you surround yourself with, even the foods you cook and the paths you walk. And when change inevitably comes, through retirement, moving to a new place, losing loved ones, health shifts, it can feel deeply unsettling, like the ground beneath you is shifting and you're not sure where to put your feet anymore. It's easy to think, if everything is changing, what part of me will be left? What if I can't adapt? What if I don't belong in this new version of my life? Change can feel like a thief, stealing the known, the predictable, the stable. But here's the truth that many don't realize until later. Change is not just a thief. It's also a giver. Yes, change takes things away, but it also gives new experiences, new perspectives, new possibilities. And resisting change, fighting to hold everything exactly as it was, often leads not to safety, but to stagnation. I once spoke with a woman named Margaret, who had lived in the same small town for over 50 years. When her husband passed and her children moved to different states, she faced a choice: stay, clinging to the memories, even as loneliness grew, or bravely step into a new life, closer to her grandchildren, in a city she had never lived in before. At first, Margaret was terrified. She said, "What if I can't make new friends? What if I don't fit in? I'm too old to start over." But after a long conversation, she decided to take the risk, to embrace the change instead of running from it. And 6 months later, I received a letter from her. It read, "I miss my old home sometimes, but I've discovered something I never expected. I'm not starting over. I'm simply continuing the story. And it's a beautiful chapter I never would have written if I'd let fear win." That's the secret. Change doesn't erase your story. It adds new chapters to it. Think of your life like a great novel. You wouldn't want the same paragraph repeated over and over again. You wouldn't want every chapter to be identical. The beauty comes in the twists, the growth, the surprises, even the ones that scared you at first. Of course, change isn't always easy. Of course, there will be grief for what's been left behind. It's okay to mourn what once was. But don't build your house in grief. Visit it when you need to, but then keep moving forward, because something wonderful happens when you lean into change. You discover parts of yourself you didn't know were there, strengths you didn't know you had, joys you didn't know you were still capable of feeling. You meet new people who will bless your life in ways you can't yet imagine. You try new experiences that reignite wonder and curiosity. You grow, not because you wanted to, but because you were brave enough to let life continue unfolding. Here's something to remember whenever change feels overwhelming. You have already survived every change that has ever come your way, every transition, every heartbreak, every move, every loss. You are still here. You are still standing. You are more resilient than you realize. And resilience isn't about never being scared. It's about being scared and doing it anyway. So today, if you are facing a change that feels terrifying, unwanted, or too big to handle, I want you to remember this. You don't have to be fearless to move forward. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take the next small step, even with trembling hands, because change is not the enemy. Stagnation is. Change means you are still living, still growing, still becoming. And you, my friend, are far too vibrant, too wise, and too needed to stay stuck in fear. You have new joys waiting for you, new friendships, new discoveries, new parts of yourself yet to unfold. Say yes to change. Say yes to this new chapter. Say yes to the unknown, because it might just lead you to a life more beautiful than you ever dared imagine. 7. Trap. Living only for your family. Another emotional trap that so many kind, loving seniors fall into is the belief that their only role now is to live for their family, to serve, support, sacrifice, often at the cost of their own dreams, their own well-being, and sometimes even their own identity. And let me say this clearly. Loving your family is beautiful. It's one of life's greatest gifts. But losing yourself entirely inside of that role is not what love asks of you. You see, there's a quiet danger in believing that your life must revolve only around the needs, schedules, and desires of others, especially after decades of raising children, caring for parents, being the reliable partner, the dependable grandparent, the constant helper. It becomes almost second nature to put yourself last. Maybe you find yourself saying things like, "Oh, I can't take that trip. My daughter might need me. I can't join that class. What if the grandkids need a ride? I can't spend money on myself. It should go to them." Slowly, your own life begins to shrink. Your dreams get postponed, indefinitely. Your needs get pushed aside, quietly, almost invisibly. And one day, you wake up and wonder, where did I go? Who am I, outside of everyone else's needs? I once met a woman named Linda. She was 72, a devoted grandmother of 5, and fiercely proud of her family. But she confessed to me one afternoon, "I sometimes feel guilty for wanting more, for wanting a life that's not just about being available whenever they call." And I looked her in the eye and said, "Wanting your own life does not mean you love them less, it means you love yourself too." Because here's something so important to understand. You are allowed to have a life outside of your family. You are allowed to have dreams, passions, hobbies, friendships, and adventures that are yours and yours alone. You do not have to choose between loving others and loving yourself. It is not selfish, it is essential. In fact, when you honor your own life, when you stay vibrant and alive and curious, you become an even greater gift to your family. You show your children and grandchildren by example what it looks like to live a full life at every stage. You teach them that aging is not about fading away. It's about expanding into even deeper joy and authenticity. Imagine what a gift it is for your grandchildren to see you pursuing passions, learning new things, traveling, laughing, growing. Imagine how much permission you give them, even unconsciously, to live their own lives boldly when they watch you doing the same. And if you're worried that stepping into your own dreams will mean abandoning your loved ones, please know this. Love is not measured by constant sacrifice. It is measured by presence, by joy, by the light you carry when you show up. When you fill your own cup, you have more to give, not less. When you nurture your own soul, you show up more fully, more joyfully, more authentically for the people you love. So today I invite you to ask yourself gently, what have I been putting off because I felt guilty? What dream have I buried beneath, what if they need me? What parts of my own spirit are asking to be nourished? And even more importantly, what small step can I take today to honor myself, not instead of loving my family, but as a deeper, richer way of loving them? Maybe it's signing up for that painting class. Maybe it's finally booking that trip you've dreamed of. Maybe it's simply carving out one afternoon a week that belongs fully to you, to read, to walk in nature, to create, to rest. Because you are not just a helper. You are not just a support system. You are not just the reliable one. You are a full, vibrant, beautiful soul with your own path, your own story still unfolding. Your family loves you, but they also need you to keep being you. And you, my friend, are worth showing up for, fully, unapologetically, and joyfully. 8. Trap: defining your worth by productivity. One of the most subtle but deeply painful emotional traps seniors fall into is the belief that their worth is tied to how much they produce, how busy they stay, how useful they seem, how much they can contribute in visible, measurable ways. This belief often starts early in life. From childhood, many of us were praised for how hard we worked, how much we accomplished, how much we got done. Gold stars, promotions, raises, pats on the back, all tied to doing, achieving, producing. We were taught, sometimes directly, sometimes silently, that value equals output. So it's no wonder that when work slows down, when roles shift, when the to-do list grows shorter, a creeping question begins to rise. If I'm not producing, who am I? If I'm not busy, am I still valuable? I once sat with a man named George, a retired engineer. He had built bridges, managed huge teams, solved complicated problems every single day for decades, and now at 68 he told me, "Sometimes I feel like I'm just taking up space. I'm not building anything anymore. I'm not needed at work, and I don't know what my purpose is without that." I looked at George and said, "You spent your whole life building bridges between places. Maybe now it's time to build bridges between hearts." Because the truth is this: your worth was never meant to be tied only to what you produce. Your worth is rooted in who you are and not what you do. You are valuable because you carry wisdom that can't be found in textbooks. You are valuable because you have loved, lost, forgiven, endured. You are valuable because your presence itself can calm a stormy room, because your stories hold laughter, your experiences hold lessons, and your being holds light. The lie that only doing matters will rob you of the beautiful truth that being matters just as much, if not more. Consider a tree. In spring and summer, it produces leaves, fruit, shade. It's busy, it's active, it's obvious in its contribution. But in winter, when the leaves fall, when the branches are bare, the tree is still alive, still growing, silently and steadily beneath the surface. Its presence is still necessary for the soil, the ecosystem, the beauty of the landscape. So are you. Even in seasons of stillness, you are contributing when you listen without rushing to fix, when you offer wisdom instead of solutions, when you sit with someone in grief and give them the gift of your presence, when you love, when you encourage, when you simply show up. The value of your life cannot be measured in finished tasks or checked boxes. It is measured in moments of connection, moments of kindness, moments of simply being fully, authentically yourself. It's not that doing is bad. Meaningful activity can absolutely enrich your life, but you are not required to constantly earn your right to take up space on this earth. You earned it the day you were born. You earned it by living, by learning, by loving, by surviving. So if you find yourself feeling restless, feeling guilty for resting, feeling like you must prove your usefulness every day, pause, breathe. Remember this: you do not have to earn your worth. You already have it. You are not valuable because you are productive. You are valuable because you are alive, because you have stories etched into the lines of your face, wisdom folded into the softness of your voice, grace woven into your every breath. Rest is not laziness. Stillness is not uselessness. Slowing down is not fading away. It is ripening, deepening, becoming even more richly human. So today, I invite you to release the idea that your value must be proven. Lay it down, let it go, and simply allow yourself to be fully, beautifully, unapologetically yourself, because you, exactly as you are today, are enough. more than enough. 9. Trap. Letting fear rule decisions. Another emotional trap that can slowly, silently steal the richness from life is letting fear rule your decisions. Now, let's be honest. Fear isn't all bad. In its purest form, fear was meant to protect us. It kept our ancestors from walking off cliffs, from poking bears, from making reckless choices. Fear, in small doses, reminds us to pause, to think carefully, to assess risk. But fear, when left unchecked, grows beyond its purpose. It stops being a helpful guide and becomes a prison warden. Instead of keeping us safe, fear starts keeping us small. Instead of protecting our lives, it starts shrinking them. And especially after a certain age, fear can become a constant whisper, "What if I fail? What if I get hurt? What if it's embarrassing? What if I waste money? What if something goes wrong?" One by one, the what-ifs pile up, until every opportunity, every adventure, every invitation feels a little too risky to say yes to. I once sat with a woman named Carol, 74 years old. She told me that for years she had dreamed of traveling overseas. She had the money, she had the time, but every time she came close to booking the ticket, fear would rise up and paralyze her. What if I get sick over there? What if my luggage gets lost? What if something happens while I'm gone? And so, year after year, she stayed home, waiting for the fear to go away, waiting for a perfect moment when she would feel 100% certain, 100% safe. But here's the hard truth. That moment never came, because fear doesn't vanish with time. It vanishes with courage. Eventually, after many conversations, Carol made a decision, not because she wasn't scared, but because she was tired of letting fear dictate the boundaries of her life. She booked a small group trip to Italy. She traveled with trembling hands, with a racing heart, but she traveled anyway. And when she came back, do you know what she said? "I was still scared on the plane. I was still nervous when I landed. But the beauty I saw, the laughter I shared, the memories I made, none of it would have happened if I had waited to not be afraid." Courage is not the absence of fear. It's choosing to move forward in spite of it. And the truth is, the longer you let fear decide for you, the smaller your life becomes. Fear convinces you that safety is the highest goal. But life isn't just about staying safe. It's about feeling alive. It's about being willing to risk discomfort for the sake of discovery. Being willing to risk awkwardness for the sake of connection. Being willing to risk vulnerability for the sake of joy. Of course, I'm not telling you to throw caution to the wind or to take foolish risks. Wisdom still matters. Preparation still matters. But fear should not have the final vote in the decisions that shape your life. Every decision made from fear closes a door. Every decision made from hope opens one. Imagine if you started asking different questions when fear rises up. Instead of, "What could go wrong?" you ask, "What could go wonderfully right?" Instead of, "What if I fail?" you ask, "What if I fly?" Instead of, "What if I regret it?" you ask, "What if this becomes one of my favorite memories?" You have already been brave in ways you probably don't even realize. You've survived heartbreaks, setbacks, illnesses, losses. You are stronger than you think. You are more resilient than you know. And you deserve to live a life that isn't built around avoiding fear, but built around embracing possibilities. So the next time you feel that fear rising, whether it's about traveling, starting a new hobby, speaking your mind, or making a big change, don't ask, "Am I scared?" Instead, ask, "Is this worth doing even if I'm scared?" Because some of the best things in life, the most beautiful, soul-stretching, heart-filling things, happen just beyond the edge of fear. And you, my friend, still have so much life to live beyond that edge. Don't let fear make your world smaller. Let hope make it bigger. 10. Trap. Believing health problems define you. Health challenges may arise, but they are not your full story. Focus on what you can do, not what you can't. 11th trap. Accepting loneliness as normal. Loneliness should never be accepted as a way of life. Seek connection. Be brave enough to reach out. 12th trap. Getting stuck in negative thinking. It's tempting to focus on what's wrong, but what you focus on expands. Practice gratitude daily. It changes everything. 13th trap. Believing you can't learn new things. Who says learning is only for the young? Learn a language, take up painting, embrace curiosity. Your brain loves it, and so will your soul. 14. Trap. Assuming no one understands you. Generational gaps can feel wide, but open hearts find common ground. Share your stories, listen deeply. 15th trap. Living in the past. Nostalgia is sweet, but life is happening now. Visit the past, but don't live there. Build today's memories. 16th trap. Giving up on romance or friendship. Love, laughter, and companionship aren't reserved for the young. Stay open to new connections at any age. 17th trap. Believing happiness is behind you. Every sunrise brings another chance for joy. Chase new joys. Create new adventures. 18. Trap. Forgetting your inner light. You still have dreams, kindness, strength, and light within you. Shine brightly. The world still needs your glow. 19th trap. Thinking. Slowing down means stopping. You might slow down, but that doesn't mean you stop living. Pace yourself, yes, but stay engaged, curious, and alive. 20. Trap. Waiting for the right time. There is no perfect moment. This moment right now is enough. Take the trip, make the call, live fully today. Final thoughts. There you have it, 20 emotional traps seniors often fall into, and how to rise above them. Not because you have done anything wrong, but because you deserve a life that feels light, meaningful, and truly your own. Let's remember together, you are needed. You are enough as you are. New dreams are still possible. Connection, love, laughter, they're still within reach. Life is precious, today and every day. Before we close, I want to ask you something personal. Which emotional trap spoke to you the most today? And what small step are you ready to take to rise above it? If you feel comfortable, share your answer in the comments. You never know who might be inspired by your courage. At Elders Insight, we believe that aging isn't about fading away. It's about showing up for your life more fully, more joyfully, and more unapologetically than ever before. Thank you for spending your time, your heart, and your spirit here with us today. We'll see you in the next video.